I'd like to call the city council meeting for December 3rd, 2019, meeting to order. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Bringold,
Here.
Duncan,
Here.
Gesme,
Here.
Lundell,
Here.
Mattson,
Here.
Montgomery,
Here.
and Mayor Altoff.
Here. Will you rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we approve the agenda, I'd like to request from the fire chief to move the fire department pension increase to up to public hearing, maybe put it after our budget talks, if we could do that. And if that's okay, I'd have a motion to approve the agenda with that.
So moved.
With that, second.
With that
Second by
change.
Morris. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, public hearing. We'll get right into this. Resolution 2451, adopting the 2020 tax levy and budget. Linnell?
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight is the night that was scheduled to take public input for the proposed 2020 budget and tax levy. Notices were sent out on the property tax statement by the county indicating today's date. And as you guys are aware, we have held several budget meetings, work sessions, over the last couple of months to review the proposed budget. And there are several items that I just wanted to remind you. It is in the memo, but for the public, I'm going to go over that again. Some of the highlights regarding the proposed 2020 budget that is before you this evening. The preliminary estimate of the city's tax capacity provided by the county had an increase of a little over 3.6%. That helps with the overall tax levy and reduces that amount of the obligation of the taxpayers. We saw approximately a 9.5% health insurance premium increase. We did not issue any general obligation bonds in 2019. Staffing levels will remain the same in this proposed budget. And this budget does include a $130,000 line item used toward a mill and overlay project. The funds could be transferred to a capital improvement plan or CIP fund to be used in 2020 or in following years. And that was left in at the direction of the consensus of the City Council during the budget work session. So with that, we can open up the public input or public comment period, and we'll try to answer any questions that may come up. Okay. One thing, too, that I just want to remind people that this meeting tonight is not the place to discuss the valuations on your property. Sometimes we do get people that come to this meeting with that understanding. That is the Board of Equalization that happens in the spring. So tonight's public meeting is strictly for the proposed budget and levy for 2020.
With that, I'll open the public hearing. Resolution of the 2020 levy and budget. Does anybody would like to speak? The public hearing.
Adam Peters. So what is the final agreement on the levy?
4.01, I believe.
Okay, so we kind of all agreed and got somewhere where we should as a group, as a city.
Yeah, we took us out of each department.
Okay, well, good job. That's what they were asking for.
Anybody else, public hearing? Third and final call, public hearing. If not, we'll close the public hearing. Do I entertain a motion to approve the 2020 tax levy and budget.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Derek and a second by Matt to approve the resolution 2451 adopting the 2020 tax levy and budget. Any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Vote of 4-2.
Yep.
Pass. Okay, we moved up the fire department pension increase. It was on council business. Dave, you want to take that one? Or Mike's coming up?
Mike's coming up. No, go ahead.
Okay.
Michael described to you the request for the increase for the fire department pension. Just to add to Mike's comments that we have reviewed the request with both our consultants who assist with not just doing the audit on our pension, but also look at the numbers each and every year to determine how they compare to others and whether or not we're following state statute in those regards, and found, talking with both of them, that while the increases have come our way with the request from the fire department, that we're still within a fund balance here going forward, but something that we should continue to watch, because in the event that there are insufficient funds to pay these pensions, it is an obligation of the city of Cannon Falls to make up that difference. But at least at this point, it looks like we're on the right track, but something we should be careful to watch going forward.
Yep, I'll just add to that. You know, we do have a board of trustees that takes care of these pension funds. We meet quarterly. That's what I brought with me tonight is a couple members of that board. Greg Hepla, our president of the Relief Association, and then Nate Watson, he's our treasurer. And we have an accounting firm too that makes sure we stay within the guidelines and what we're supposed to do, and we kind of keep those funds balanced. The mayor attended about a year ago just to kind of see what that was about, because kind of ex officio, the mayor and Dave are part of those board of trustees, so we'll send out those meeting dates again in January. They can attend if they wish to do that. And that's the reason we're asking for the $200 increase to each service member each year. That's kind of me doing my job as a fire chief, that I don't personally want to let it get too overfunded. I want to give the best benefit I can to our firefighters, as long as we can afford that. And that's what we do, you know, probably every year or two, you know, we relook at it and see if we can make an increase, you know, and that's, if we can't, like last year, you know, we won't. And then once we see fit that we can, mostly if the stock market's doing well, maybe we haven't had some retirements, so the funds build up, and that's kind of where we're at right now. We're overfunded again. So even with this increase, we are still overfunded. You know, we don't want to stretch our liabilities too far out there. So that's where we're at. So that's my request tonight, is for that $200 increase to kind of keep us in check with our inflation of our funds and where everything's at. So if anybody's got any questions, that's why we're here.
Well, I'm fine with the $200 increase. My question would be, going forward, say in an unfortunate circumstance where you fall below what you're needed, would you come back and say, hey, you know, we gotta maybe lower it by 200 a year?
I don't know that I mean, it's not historical to ever go backwards, and I would probably dig my heels in. The only time it would really go underfunded, I mean, we could actually run underfunded and down into the, Nate, it's 83%, right? 83 is really where the city has to get worried that you'd have to actually start keeping us above that total. And then you have to start kicking in to maintain that. The only time you would actually completely deplete that fund is if something tragic were to probably happen, or every firefighter that's vested decided, I'm done and I retire in the same year. So it would take a big event, you know, of people going out to all of a sudden have you guys have to pony up if we're underfunded. If we're underfunded and only one person retires, we'd probably still stay underfunded, but we'd kind of hover in that. Traditionally, we've managed it well enough with our investments, which, you know, the mayor came and kind of checked that out last year, that I don't think in the 10 years I've really been paying attention to, we've never been underfunded. We've always kind of riding that line. I know Linnell knows a lot about it too. She kind of helps us with those forms that we got to send in, and then she gets to get this check from the state and then hands it over to our relief association. They're kind of the middle person there to keep that rolling. Cause it's based off of population. That's how we get our money. The more population. So that's why our townships matter to us too. And we grab those because the more it's not square mile area and it's the amount of people that we cover and serve. That's their factor in what they do to give us our money to fund that through our relief association. So that's why we really kind of dig our heels in and don't like losing service area because that's actually money that we get to help fund that. So it's all kind of comes full circle.
Does this only affect people who are going to retire, or is this a raise for the people who have retired as well? I'm just curious.
No, just current members right now. So
Okay.
anybody who has retired, because they get their payout at age 50.
Okay.
So you could retire at 45 if you were vested, but you don't get paid until you're 50.
You're 50.
And then and it's your one lump sum payout and you're done. You're out
Okay.
of the game.
One payout,
So-
and then you also, is it like 10 years before you become vested?
10 years is 50% vested. Then it tiers up through that until you're 100% vested at 20.
Okay.
So and those kind of liabilities are what we watch through our spreadsheets to kind of, because we have to account for all of those as we go.
Sure.
So,
That makes sense.
yeah.
I'm not a professional at it, but I was at the meetings and went through your pension funds and your stock and bond funds and well diversified. I was familiar with most of them and it's a
We
good
take it pretty
portfolio.
serious. I mean, even through the bad times in the 2008 and all that, we actually stayed overfunded through all that. We stay pretty safe with it because we care about it. It's a benefit to us.
More money, but it's also
Yeah.
other people's money.
If you haven't seen an increase in
Right.
the stock market, it's been pretty flat all
Yeah,
year
so
long.
we've been pretty happy with what it's been doing, and that's the thing. If it runs flat now, this is just kind of where we're at for a while, which is better. It's better than when I got hired. We try to kind of keep up with inflation a little bit, and we run the middle. There's fire departments out there that are worse. There's some fire departments that are way better, but their city kicks in. We right now try to be fiscally responsible with it, and we'll run for what we can get for nothing to the levy, I guess, is what we try to do. So we do our best. Yeah. So that's what I got.
Any other
sounds good.
comments, questions? Thanks.
Thanks.
Well, I'd entertain a motion to increase the fire department pension from 2,700 to 2,900.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Oh, it's from 25 to 27.
25 to 27, excuse me. Been a motion by Mary Jo and a second by Matt to approve that increase. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll get into the consent agenda. Consent agenda items may be adopted under one motion as presented, or may be removed for discussion and resolution as council business. For you in the audience and at home, I'll go through the consent agenda. Item A, just and correct claims for the accounting period ending November 26th, 2019. Item B, minute meetings for the November 19th, 2019 City Council meeting. Item C, minute meetings for the November 19th, 2019 City Council work session. Item D, minute meetings for the November 25th, 2019 City Council special session, special meeting. Item E, minute meetings for the November 25th, 2019 City Council work session. Item F, approve a new liquor license for Chuggers. Item G, appointment of David Dyson to the Library Board. And item H, approve application for payment number 7 for the 2018 Street Improvement Project. Is there anything the council would like to bring down? If not, I'd take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Second. Go ahead.
I'll second.
Motion by Bill and a second by Derek to approve the consent agenda. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We'll move on to council business. Item A is the Sandstone Ridge Development Project. Dave?
This is probably our third conversation on this project. I talked to Buffy several times since she's been here, and I suggested that she not was not necessary for her to attend tonight, just to talk about what you've already considered and what we're looking at this evening, which is the actual petition that the multi-county HRA has submitted to us as owner of some property within the Sandstone Ridge development, officially making the request for the city council to proceed with consideration of vacating certain street rights-of-way and easements within the Sandstone Ridge development. And so the petition that you've seen is been updated with regards to the prior information that the HRA and county has received from us. And then the corresponding map that was sent out to each of you this afternoon just again graphically illustrates the description that's on the petition of those easements. So you can see it represents again parts of Decorah Drive, parts of Sandstone Road, all of Sandstone Circle, the 3 street rights-of-way under this petition, and then all of the interior lot easements for the private utilities, telephone, gas, et cetera, as well as some of the more significant public utilities for sewer and water. So again, what's going to happen on this if we go forward is we would schedule, at the request of the HRA, schedule a public hearing before the City Council, either January 7th or January 21st, where we would come back to this issue and officially accept public comments for or against questions on the vacation of these rights-of-way and easements. To the extent that they do become vacated, the next step then will be to finish the quiet title by the multi-county HRA of the Sandstone Ridge development, and then come back and work with us to create 1 or 2 or 3 new lots, if you will, on the same property, but without the encroachments that are there today. In terms of what happens in the future for land use, that's still the big question here. The soils don't change with regards to these actions, so that's still going to be a complication for anyone that might want to develop there. But we do have some interest, and Buffy's been pretty clear that there's been some solar conversations about a solar garden there, possibly even by Novell. That's working with us on our subscription agreement, and maybe some other public uses that that could develop with soil conditions of this type. So, again, the action before the City Council tonight is to receive the petition submitted to you by the multi-county HRA and authorize us to proceed with scheduling a public hearing January 7th or January 21st.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion to proceed forward with the Sandstone Development Project.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Steve, and second by Mary Jill to move forward with the Sandstone Ridge Development Project. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll go to reports. Kyle, what?
Good evening, Chamber Council and community. I want to first start out by saying thank you to everyone in the community that came out on Saturday night. We had a very nice crowd for the parade and even a larger crowd for the fireworks. And that was just spectacular. And so I do want to thank the police department for taking care of the traffic that night. That was wonderful. I'm going to thank all of the volunteers who helped with the parade, building the floats, tearing the floats down, bringing the boxes, the drawing boxes. The list is very lengthy. So please know, even though I'm not saying your name, that you are truly appreciated, and you can help again next year.
Because it was so much fun.
Yes, absolutely. I do want to ask, though, Steve Gesme, we packed up the all of the costumes and decorations and things on the floats, but I didn't pack the Father Christmas because it was so dirty.
Sorry. I seem to be a little shorter than the last one, and it kind of dragged behind me a little bit.
Prefer to walk off the extra length instead of, okay.
Stilts, Steve, stilts.
I don't know, Public Works, if they didn't clean the streets enough.
Well, I think somebody else had something to do with it when the rain came, so, but thank you. I just needed to give you a hard time.
Thank you very much.
We did have 17 units from businesses, organizations, and of course, the city services in the parade. And that is, both the parade and the fireworks are on the Community TV YouTube station. And so if you missed it, you can sure check them out right there. I do want to go through our sponsor list. And I ask that if you go into these places or if you see their owners, please thank them because they are who made everything happen. Interstate Building Supply, Minnesota Energy, Town and Country Granite, Excel Energy, Edward Jones, Dakota Electric, Vesa Spring Garden Mutual Insurance, Hinkle, Keith Myers Financial Services, Cannon Falls Smiles, Hancock, the Summit Golf Club, Mayo Clinic Health System, Sustain, Merchants, Remax, Cannon Realty, and that was the Hughesby team, Sweet Harvest, Lawrence Meats, First Farmers Insurance, Will Burley, and the Cannon Falls Lions Club. Thank you all. Yes. We cannot, sit down and rest a little bit. The 2020 calendar is up and getting filled in. And so if you know of community-wide events, let me know if they should be on our website, our Facebook, on our handouts. Let us know. That would be great.
One thing, Kyle, and we've talked, I've had so many good comments about the fireworks and that. It was on Facebook or something, even people were in Mill Street and from out of town and saw this and said they'll be back next year.
Yeah.
I mean, this really turned out to be a big thing for our city.
They were beautiful. Really were.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was the same contractor that is for the Cannon Valley Fair.
But it's almost like I think the colors were different because it was winter. I don't know. It felt
It's the
different.
snow.
Oh, there we go.
When they reflect off the snow, and we also had some little flurries coming,
Yeah. Okay.
that just makes the fireworks that much
That
better.
makes sense. But they were beautiful.
Yeah, for all the people there, plus all the people viewing them from their houses, if you figure that in too.
Yes.
You know, that was a lot of
Yes.
people.
And I've heard from people who live at least 3 blocks away that they could see the fireworks
Yes.
at their home. And so I really appreciate everyone letting me know that you really like it. And yes, we're going to work at getting them back again next year. So thank everybody. I do appreciate all of your help and support. And if you have any other questions, I can answer them.
That was a nice parade, good crowds. I think the retailers were happy and topped it off with the fireworks. That was nice.
Absolutely, yes. I've been hearing from the retailers in regards to Shop Small, and they were busy on Saturday. And that's wonderful to hear. I mean, that's the point of Deck the Falls. And so I was glad to hear they were busy and enjoyed it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go around the horn. Greg, you got anything tonight?
So, in the consent agenda, you approved the pay app 7 for the East Side 2 project, which was 2018 project. We had punch list stuff we went through, and they buttoned up this spring and got it done. Now, this was not the final pay application. I did reduce retainage to 1%. Pretty much everything that he did is in there, but it did not close the project out. And if you remember at the last meeting, I mentioned the one issue we still had to consider was the driveway at the west end of Mill Street that goes up the hill.
Oh, yes.
This is obviously a pre-project photo because everything's nice and green.
Right.
But, so the driveway before was concrete to a point, and then it was blacktop out to the cul-de-sac. Now the cul-de-sac is done with curb and gutter around it. We've got concrete from the curb back, and then we replaced one section or so of his driveway. This section now is steeper than the driveway was before, but it is not as steep as other parts of his driveway farther up the driveway. He came to Public Works, I believe, last fall with a question about it. Looked at it with Mike while he was still here. I just don't see an option other than redoing pretty much the whole cul-de-sac to make it noticeably better, if at all, by anything we would have done, just because of the fact that his driveway comes down at such an angle. If you look and you see this little dark rectangle here, this is a storm drain that drains somewhere up on his property. I think he's got some retaining walls here that came out through his driveway and onto the cul-de-sac. As part of the project, we redirected that out the side of his driveway to a pipe in the grass. So while this end of the driveway may be a little bit steeper, I think we did do an improvement to it, and I have not heard, and I know before Mike had left, he had not heard back from him if there continue to be issues or not. So my question to the council is, working with Wenzel, the contractor, he would rather not keep the contract open till spring. It affects his bonding for projects next spring. He would like to close it out. The thinking of leaving it open as if we were going to do something, it could fall under the project funds. If the council's amenable, he would like to put together his final, the contractor that is, final paperwork for final payment and close the project out, starting the warranty. And what it does, it just kind of ends where we are on the project itself. Obviously, we have warranty on, like I said before, the trees. And if we were having an issue with a hydrant or a manhole or a pipe, obviously that's under warranty too. It's just any of the work left for him to do in the punch list is done, with the exception of any input on this driveway.
What do you think? Do you think they're going to come back, or, I mean, is the dollar amount that we would spend on a fix significant enough to keep the project open?
I just don't know if we'd make it that much better than it is now.
Right.
Without
Right.
redoing a
There'd have to be
significant
a-
portion of that cul-de-sac.
When we talked with him at Public Works, he has a very similar problem to what I do on my home driveway, because the road goes down. Yeah, sometimes when you back out or drive out, you
bottoms out.
bottom out, and you just gotta be careful about it. I know I am all the time coming out of my own driveway with a similar type of angles involved.
Well, it does look like you did a definite improvement, though, because instead of making the cul-de-sac icy, or wet, you're at least putting it out into the grass. I think
I'm not
that's
sure how he maintains that driveway as clear as he does in the winter without sliding down it, but he got it figured out. So the issue, I think, is that the old cul-de-sac never had curb, and they probably just kind of patched and overlaid out into the cul-de-sac a little bit to kind of create a ramp, if you will. Now we've kind of delineated the outside of the cul-de-sac with curb and gutter. The driveway's almost 2 lanes wide, if you will. The north half is not as steep as the south half, so my guess is by driving, like Mr. Duncan said, a certain way in and out of the driveway, and his vehicles must have clearance where it hasn't been a continuing issue that we've heard.
Okay.
Well, I would say to close out the contract, I don't know of a way that we can do that. I mean, financially responsible anyhow to make it so it's perfectly, I don't even think
Yeah.
you can make it perfectly smooth. It's just too much of a.
But if there is something to be done, we can address it later. I don't think it's worth holding the project open.
No.
Okay,
I don't personally.
thank you.
Unless anyone else got.
No. I think it's reasonable.
All right, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Do we approve that final
Oh, yeah,
at the
do you
next
want us to
meeting?
do that, or next
It,
meeting?
it might, not- I might won't have it back at the next one. He has to get his consent assured and some
Oh.
paperwork from all of his subs, so it'll
Ja-
probably be the
January.
January meeting.
So you'll wait until,
Yeah.
okay.
He was just thinking ahead to bonding for projects in the spring. I think having a bond on the project that's 2 years old may impact his capacity to bond on future projects. And we had a good experience with him. He had a good experience with the city. He'd definitely be back bidding on projects in town when we do them again, so.
Good.
I think it went well.
Okay. Thank you.
It was good.
Nicole?
Well, I don't really have a whole lot to report. I haven't really publicized it, but I'm continuing the Balance and Strength Fit Fridays through December. I initially wasn't going to because I was going to have surgery on my foot yesterday, but that's been put off till January 6th. So I can teach the balance and strength. It is specifically for seniors, so that because, we're getting into iciness and falling, and it's more for fall prevention than anything else. So really working on building your stability muscles and your core and figuring out how to keep your balance so that when you hit the ice, you don't go crashing. Part of it is also learning how to get up from a fall. One of these days, I'm going to get a really good gymnastics mat and teach people how to fall. But
Wow.
I just need a bigger car. So, but yeah, Fridays at noon, if you want to learn some balancing exercises that you can do at home and keep it up, then I'm here for you. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Joe?
This week, Thursday, we have Coffee Cops and Conversation at 10:30 at the bakery. And Wednesday, the 11th, we have Triad at 10 o'clock at the CCC. That's all I got.
Linnell? Dave?
The period has closed for applications for the utility billing clerk, and we received 20 applicants for that position. And Michelle's going through the pointing now, and I would expect that there's a pretty significant number of good, qualified, capable candidates who made applications. So we would hope to start interviewing candidates next week on that. Speaking of Novel Energy, we've been working with them on providing Xcel Energy with fairly detailed records of all of our electrical connections and use records in Cannon Falls so that we can proceed with final details with Xcel Energy and Novel on our subscription agreement. In fact, they'll be in town again tomorrow, so that's moving forward. And I'd be remiss if I wouldn't thank all of the departments for their help on the budget. As Linnell said, it's been a few months in process here, starting probably late May, even June, when we started this process, and thanks to the council too for the additional workshops and the time that you committed. But special thanks to Linnell. This has been several months of pretty significant work for her, and the different alternatives and the moving targets on not just the budget expenditures but also the revenues and the levies. So I want to especially thank Linnell for this too.
Thank you.
That's all.
Steve?
Nothing.
Matt?
Nothing.
Bill?
Nothing.
Derek?
Nothing.
Mary Jo?
Lots of nothing.
Morris? Well, I got a few things. Like to comment, the Public Works did an excellent job on that storm. Couple storms, actually, and did a good job of cleaning up the streets. That was a good job. Again, thanks to Linnell and the department heads for this budget process. It was hard on us all, and we're through it, and I like what happened, cooperation between everybody, and everybody cut a little bit and it worked out. We had, this noon, we had an employee appreciation luncheon here. We handed out some, what should I say, awards for years of service to the city. I'm just going to mention the people we gave awards to today. Tony Hahn for 5 years of service. Sulu, how do you pronounce his last name? Kira Sulu for 5 years of service. Ted Hargers, 10 years of service. Lola Myers, 10 years of service. Michelle Sandine, 15 years of service. Chuck Weedom, 15 years of service. Chuck Peterson, 20 years of service. And Judy Miller at the library, 30 years of service. They got a chamber dollar for every year they gave to the city. So we appreciate all the time that they've given us. And as you can see, we've got some longtime employees here, but thanks to them, they make the city.
I do.
I was also going to mention, and maybe I should address it to you, Joe, about snowbirds. I thought I saw an awful problem trying to plow in here the other day. There was a lot of cars on the street.
I think we only had two, with the exception of the last time that they plowed because of the timing of the snow. They were plowing, I think, more towards the early morning into the daytime when cars are allowed to be on the street. So definitely we coordinate that with Tony and Wes. You know, they give us a head notice, but it's difficult. The first storm, it came overnight. So they said, well, we'll just come in and start because as we saw, at 2 inches an hour, yep, it had to be done. In the past, sometimes we get missed, and then we're okay too, but that's why we try to post on our social media, giving people as much ahead notice to get the cars off the street so that they don't have to be towed. So I think we only did 2, and then there was one other one that got past us, but they ended up getting a ticket, and I think they got moved, and I don't know if it got cleaned up or not, but.
Very good. Okay. That leads us to public input. Citizens may speak to issues not on the agenda. Before speaking, please give your name and address for the record, and kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes. Public comments must be respectful, pertinent to city business, and adhere to the applicable data privacy rules. The city council will not take action on any issue raised by the public, but may choose to schedule consideration of the item at a future agenda. Is there anybody who'd like to talk to public input? We'll open the public hearing. Public input? Whatever. It's open. Public input. Third and final call, public input. Hearing none, we'll close the public input. And I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second Morris. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.